The task we're getting ready to cover, inspecting watertight doors. First, we want to talk about our hazards, cautions, and PPE. We're going to talk about witnessing the operational test and the safeties involved, and any tips and tricks. When we're talking watertight doors, it's important to note that there are three different types of watertight doors. A type 1, which is a hinged door with a quick-acting watertight closure. You have a type 2 sliding watertight door, which is manually powered only, and a type 3 sliding watertight door that is power assisted, either electric or hydraulic, as well as a manual system. So now we're going to talk about a type 3 power sliding watertight door. So this is a power sliding watertight door, which means it uses some sort of assist. It can be hydraulic or electric. For this one, it's hydraulic. It's activated locally here through your power and manually here through a hand pump. Some things before we start testing our door. We want to verify that the door condition itself is okay, that the knife edge, there's nothing along here that will pinch or catch. All of our track looks good and clear. Our sill plate here actually moves and comes out of the way. We want to verify that we have our audible alarm. We want to verify if we're in a high noise environment that there's a flashing light as well. So here we're standing in our powered watertight door, our type 3 sliding watertight door. This right here is the actual hydraulic power unit that provides the power for the door to close and open. This is located above the bulkhead deck, which is also where we have our required manual closing of our watertight door. You can see here, these blue bottles are called accumulator bottles. They store hydraulic fluid under pressure, so in the event of a power loss, you can perform 3 functions of the door. It has to close once, open once, and then close again. All of your sliding watertight doors can only be closed remotely. They can't be opened remotely. They can only be opened locally. And now we're going to operate the door locally utilizing the power system. Before we do, we want to make sure that there's people well away from the area. We want to make sure nobody's trying to transit through the door while it's actually closing. The unique thing about watertight doors is there's no safety to stop it from closing. This door will close until I let go of the handle and it comes to a neutral position. If it's closed remotely, it won't stop until it closes all the way. Let's go ahead and close the door and I'll show you what I mean. This will give an audible alarm and a visual indicator by a flashing light while it's closing. As soon as I let go, the door will stop. The only way it'll stop is if I let go. So one of the things I'm looking for while this door closes is I'm watching the smooth transition of the door, verifying that it makes clean contact with the knife edge and that it sits full seated in the closed position. When inspecting watertight doors, one of the things we want to pay attention to is it should be labeled. Each watertight door should have a number or letter or somehow be indicated on the bridge so they have a main panel that will show whether it's open or closed. There has to be a light that either is red when it's open or green when it's closed. You want to know that you're watertight and ready to go. Green is the color, green's good to go. So we're going to talk about type 1 hinged watertight doors and what we're looking for in the inspection. Here we have a type 1 hinged quick acting watertight door. So we come up on it and it's closed. What we want to look for should be a hand wheel to operate. Should have a label to indicate the direction of operation. We want to verify that everything's closed and looks good. If we have any suspicions that there might be some leakage, we can do a light test or a water test where we turn the lights out here, lights on in the other space. If we can see light coming through, it's a definite no. Or they can spray water from either side, and if we have water come through just on hose pressure, we know we're already not going to meet the requirements. So what we'll do is actually operate the door. It should take minimal effort to operate the door, the mechanism itself. Open the door make sure it's as wide as possible. Here we can see the gasket material on the door itself. I'm going to verify that it's complete all the way around. This one has the seam at the top, which is correct. And it's also cut on a bevel so that when it's compressed, it meets up on itself like this versus coming together. So you want to verify that the dogs all operate smooth. All the bars come across. Everything looks good. We can also verify the knife edge, which is where the gasket makes contact. You can see here with the blue line, they've gone through and pre-marked this with chalk, closed them together, fully dogged it down, and we can see what areas might need adjustment based off of the lack of a line. But we want to check our knife edge here, make sure it's clean, clear of any nicks, burrs, straight as possible. Sometimes they can get a little warped, but as long as it's pretty straight, we look pretty good. We'll come through the door. This one is required to have an indicator when it's open. Verify that the indicator itself works. Then when we come through the door, we'll verify on the side all of our strike plates from where our dogs actually make contact. They shouldn't be painted where they make contact. It should be metal. And then we can close the door on this end, verify it dogs down, and that all of the bars make good contact with the strike plates on this side. To summarize our task, inspecting watertight doors, we'll utilize our PTC checklist to make sure we don't miss anything. We talked about hazards, cautions, and PPE while conducting inspections of watertight doors. We talked about verifying the location, verify that they're marked, and verify that the knife edges are clean for your burrs. We talked about the gasket materials, that it maintains watertight integrity between the gasket material and the knife edge. We talked about the operating condition and location of doors. We talked about the operation and installation of the quick acting closing doors on the type 1 doors. We talked about indicator lights at the control station to indicate whether the doors are open or closed. We talked about verifying markings on the doors. We determined the local controls work for class 2 and 3 doors and remotes for class 3 and 2 doors. We also verified the operational integrity and that everything operated smoothly. We talked about some tips and tricks. If there's anything that I talked about or any questions you have or anything that you'd like to learn more about, make sure you write down everything and ask your local verifying officer when we're done.